Can you hear the drums, Fernando? I remember long ago another starry night like this. There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright, Fernando. They were shining there for you and me, for liberty.
Good morning, everyone. A little late. Bah! Tried it again. I don't learn. Trying the Rumble app or the Rumble Studio on my computer just wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? I tried my damn hardest. I mean, I was supposed to be on at 6:45, and for some reason, this noggin here was like, you know what? It looks better. Let me try it. You know, because the computer, blah, 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 blah. Didn't work. Guess I'm stubborn, and I'm trying to see am I actually going live, because I don't even know, to be honest. There it is. I think that's it. Nope, that's not it. Please bear with me. I don't know, for some reason I'm not even sure if I'm doing anything here. Okay, not sure if it's working. Oh, it says I am. Gang Life. I got a notification. Oh, am I in the wrong channel? I think I am. I am. Holy shit. I got to do this and change this a little later. I apologize. It's actually on my main page for some reason. I don't know why I did that. Sorry about that. Anyway, happy Monday. Your friendly neighborhood conservative ex-con here with the common sense and random shit show. Because this is a shit show. Oh my God. I'm losing my shit, I'm telling you. Nobody actually watches me live, but whatever. Let's see here. Again, bear with me. This thing sucks. Just working? Yep, it is. Anyway, like I said, apologies. Not that no one really watches me live, no matter what time I go on. But anyway, gang life. I found this video. I mean, I posted a little bit here and there before, and I wanted to talk about it because as I watched it again yesterday and the day before, it was about 44 minutes long. I believe I put the link in the description. If not, I'll check after. As I said before, I'm an ex-gang member. You know, I left Connecticut as a high-ranking gang member in Connecticut. I left to Massachusetts, not that far away. But long story short, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was given the blessing to leave pretty much and do my thing because I became a professional fighter. Started doing things for the community with the police department. So yeah, it changed my life around. So they actually do what you got to do, brother. You're the real solid one, and blah, blah, blah. Then history happened. Sort of. A little bit. Anyway, but like I said, I watched this video. You know, it's 44 minutes long. I didn't want to put the whole thing. I did cut it down to about 6 to 7 minutes. I want you to watch it, and then I got some things to say about it after. Because there's this guy, you know, shadowed, some guy talking about it and his experience. And I have something to say about that because I was actually, when I became one of those gang members, I was there from the beginning. This guy apparently wasn't, but I'll let you watch it and you tell me. Let me see if I can find it here. And then, of course, I'm going to piss off some liberals after because I'm conservative.
A gang that terrorized an entire city, born in prisons and unleashed on the streets. Their agenda, total domination by any means necessary. They fear no one.
But the police department was just overwhelmed.
Welcome to Hartford, the unlikely place where Los Salitos rule.
Violence is part of their lifestyle. It's part of their overhead. It's what they do.
Hartford, Connecticut. In a state with the highest per capita income, its capital is one of its poorest cities. Hartford has about 120,000 residents. Of those, hundreds claim Los Salitos, solid ones.
Salitos basically comes off of being a solid warrior. That's why it's called Solid Ones, True Solid Ones, TSO.
Solid forever, forever solid.
Hartford, the capital city of the Constitution State. Street gangs are nothing new here, but since the 1980s, they have become widespread, organized, and dangerous.
This area that we're going down right now is again, still controlled by the Los Salitos. We get down to Broad Street, you're gonna find it's Latin King territory down there.
Los Salitos, or the Solid Ones. A violent street gang fueled by money, guns, and drugs control much of the city.
If you were messed with, or one of ours was messed with, there would be hell to pay.
Los Salitos formed in Connecticut state prisons in the late 1980s. The capital is only the third largest city in the state. And Hartford gangsters were targeted by others from Bridgeport and New Haven.
They realized they could not stand on their own as a separate street gang. There were too many gangs inside the prison, too many established, very powerful prison gangs.
A Hartford inmate named Lawrence Bouvet, LB, had a vision of a multiracial super gang that could dominate both in the prisons and on the streets. LB, who was serving time for rape, became the brains behind the Salitos. Gang members would call him the Godfather.
LB was a very powerful individual. He carried a lot of weight. He had done a lot of time. He had some escape stuff on his past. He was the kind of guy that, nobody in the prison system messed with.
Michael LaJoy, a corrections officer at Connecticut's maximum security Summers Prison, was an eyewitness to the Godfather's growing power.
He got everybody to buy into his culture, and he got everybody to buy into what was going on.
The Godfather was shrewd. He first earned the respect of the established Hispanic gang, the Latin Kings, by asking their permission to start Los Salitos.
Together we're a family, we protect each other. If you have problems with somebody, you have problems with the Latin Kings.
Under the Godfather's leadership, Los Salitos and the Latin Kings were tight. The Kings even took to calling the Solid Ones cousins.
Latin Kings and the Salitos got along fine, so we're gonna take care of y'all. But when the time is right, when the Latin Kings, when we go to war, you're gonna have to be there for us.
With the Latin King's blessing, Buffet built up the Salitos. He drafted a gang charter heavy on responsibility and discipline.
Everything that you're gonna do as a member, from attending meetings to paying dues, all the way down to your personal hygiene.
The Godfather ruled with an iron fist, and the Salitos followed. One new inmate who owed them big drug money found that out the hard way.
They went right after him, right in the chow hall. They basically made some noise so that people started looking, and they just stabbed him as many times as they could. When you stab an inmate in a busy chow hall, you're telling everyone, it doesn't matter where you cross us, we'll get you.
The Los Salitos represent by wearing their colors, red and blue.
Blue is for the body, and red is for the blood that has been shed.
Bandanas and beads are also part of the dress code. A member's rank determines his beads. Getting inked is mandatory for Los Salitos members. Their trademark tattoos are the comedy and tragedy theater masks.
That's what we based our beliefs around. Good times in life and the bad times in life.
Like most gangs, those chosen to join Los Salitos go through a short and brutal ritual called a bounce.
I had to get jumped in by two other guys. One bigger than me and one average to my size, in order for me to become a member. I I had to fight two of them for approximately 2 minutes, hand-to-hand combat. After about a minute, maybe a minute, give or take, I was unconscious. I woke up. The next thing I can remember, I had guys hugging me and throwing bandanas on me, and put some ice packs on my face, and told me, "You are now a brother for life."
Once someone joins Los Solitos, he has the right to use their handshake. They also learn Los Solitos code words, a special language only the gang understands.
45 was the number you would use to basically show your brother love. You had to find a way to acknowledge one another without bringing any heat or drama to yourself. So 45 was basically the way to do it.
All right, I got something to say. Got a few things I got to say about that. Okay, first of all, this video, the gentleman with the silhouette, he must have joined after, a couple years after. The bounce thing, he's incorrect about that. The bounce thing was violent, but it wasn't a way for people to get in until after the war started, because if you watch the whole video, there was a gang war, which is why I went to prison, because long story, I've mentioned before. Go back, I don't want to talk about it again because I'll be here all day. But a gang war started, very violent gang war. A lot of people died. And everybody wanted to join. All the drug dealers, and we knew a lot of them were a bunch of punks. So at the time, that mentality was, all right, you know what? Too many people are trying to get in for protection. That's not what we're about. So you know what? This is what we got to do. We got to have them fight people to get in to see if they really want to get in. That's what, at the time, that's what that was. So that bounce thing about getting in, that's not how it was. When I got in, it's like most motorcycle clubs, whatever, they have a prospect or probationary period, 30 to 90 days. You stay on that probationary period for 30 to 90 days, unless you prove yourself, you do something on a mission. Mission is you do something for the family. All the way up to kill someone. I've never did, you know what I'm saying? Thank God. But I was charged with something like that, major. But, you know, so also, yeah, the beads separated the hierarchy. Before I left, I was one of the big boys. But, you know, as I mentioned before, every chapter, which was a region, had its own president. Then you had the executive members, which, like I said, the longer video explains that. I wanted to show you. That's my stomach. It's on there, SFFS. When I was a fighter, this is a professional photo shoot, as you see, not photoshopped. Let me see. That's my stomach. That is, I have though that still to this day. You know, not proud of it, but you know what I'm saying. My stomach. Yes, sorry, I'm bragging. That's a fight picture. What an idiot. Anyway, as I said, you know. Trust me, I'll be here all day talking about this. You know, I left, when I left Connecticut, it wasn't just because my life was in danger, because it was. Because at the time, I would have stayed and done what I had to do to prove my innocence. Because I was, you know, they blame me. They try to say that I want to take out the Godfather. That, you know, I had my little cronies and that they were going to order people in prison. Because I got to tell you, it wasn't about all drugs, prostitution, and bullying and extort. It wasn't all about that. Not when I first started. When I first started, it was because people were getting bullied in prison. They started in prison. Two rival gangs got together and formed Los Solitos. It was the Ghetto Brothers and Savage Nomads. I mean, there was rape, extortion, everything going on in prison. So it started in prison so we can protect everyone. And it was multiracial. Then when it hit the streets, that's when it took an ugly turn. Because most of the guys that joined were drug dealers. And, you know, if you're a drug dealer, you're not going to be going to church and preaching choir or the church learnings to people. You're not going to be selling drugs. You're going to be into the violent stuff and do what you got to do. And then what happened was, you know, this is risky, but it's whatever. Most of the hierarchy were drug addicts or drug dealers. And Godfather and anyone below him had an addiction. So the people on the street made sure that the people in there were financially and drugs, they were fine. So obviously they bought their positions. the biggest positions out there, I'm not gonna lie, they were bought. You know, if anyone comments on here that knows me from my past, knows I don't dick around. If you don't know me and you're watching and you're an ex-gang member or present gang member, I'm just saying the truth. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real here. And you can't deny it. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny me, what I am and what I was. Look me up. You know what I'm saying? Just saying it how it is. And when that happened, guess what? Power hungry. People get power hungry, as I mentioned before, I talked about before, they do anything to keep that power. Sounds simple, sounds familiar? All about money, power, and the little underlings, you know, obviously have to pay. And yes, there were rules and regulations, bylaws, a charter, as they said in the video. And, you know, all the way up to personal hygiene. You had to take a shower every day, brush your teeth. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't, if you had a girlfriend or were married, you couldn't be unfaithful because you get dealt with, you get a bounce. And a bounce, as the, you know, somewhat what the video says, it's a minute to 2 minutes of two people, two brothers or sisters, if it was girls, females, two genders. For a minute or two, they would never hit the face, it's from the body down. So, you know, that guy that said that he fought two guys and he passed out, I don't know, maybe it was, I was in prison when all this started. I remember when I was in prison, they say, you know, on the street, this is what they're doing now. They're actually fighting people in because too many people are trying to join. This is how I found out that was happening. Me, I was on probation when I started in '89, I think it was, late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, right before all this bullshit, years before the war started. It was a big war. A lot of people I knew died on both sides. But I was on probation, you know, and I got off a week later because while I was on probation, me and this other kid, something happened, and at the time the guy who was running the place said, listen, this guy did this, this guy disrespected me. If you guys beat him up, we'll take you off probation. So we did. We beat him up, and I got off probation. And it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Shit rolls downhill. But we weren't all gangbangers. We weren't all drug dealers. We weren't all into the street life. You know, a lot of us, I mean, I did some stuff, but I worked, you know, I did my thing. I tried to change it for the positive. This is one of the reasons I had to leave, because they didn't like that shit. They just wanted all the big time drug dealers wanted to stay that, wanted to run the streets and wanted to use the soldiers, the guys who didn't have positions, to do their dirty work. Sell drugs, beat people up, control neighborhoods. You know, as far as the prostitution and car thefts and all that, I don't know. I was in prison. I was in prison most of my time as a gang member. The time that I was out, I had a position, either in New Britain or Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, so most of the first time I got out, you know, I mean, I was almost a Latin king. You know, I was on probation to be a Latin king. And when I realized that they were too abusive, there was a lot of dumb, crazy rules, too gangy at the time, especially in prison. And I was like, you know what? I think the Solidos started because of these guys. So I, you know, plus my brother, I found out was a member of the Los Solidos, and I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna get in something, I'm gonna give him the same thing with my brother, and I did. Then he got arrested, and we're both in the same jail together. Even my dad got involved. Long story. But it's not the life. I don't care how positive, you know what I'm saying, if it involves drug dealers, if it involves anything, street life, thug life, whatever it may be, it wasn't life, you know. And when I left, as I said before, you know, there were a few people that wanted to kill me. I mean, these guys were going on a rampage, you know, as when I was given that position and thinking they had positions and making decisions behind my back. And I'll be honest, you know what I'm saying, if it was up to me at the time, you know, I wanted them all gone in whatever way, shape, or form. But, you know, me saying and speaking out about what they were doing, crazy, beating people up, putting people in hospitals, I didn't like that. So when I tried to stop it, that's when guys started a rumor about me saying that I was going to take out the big boys and I was going to take over of the hierarchy and just lead everything, and that wasn't true. So the loyal people to the other guys, to the negative drug dealers and drug addicts, they wanted to take me out. So, you know, as I said before, I was put on suspension and was investigated. And I said, you know what, this is not the life for me. So I moved to Massachusetts. Yeah, the next state over. Wow, far. They had them in Massachusetts, just not Worcester. They had them in Springfield, just about 40 minutes west. Not Worcester. So a lot of Kings and other gangs, but not no Solidos, which I felt were safer. You know, I just got back into the martial arts, got into fighting, worked with the police department, as I mentioned before, talking to kids, going to prisons and jails and youth centers, schools, talked to kids about staying away from gangs, did contract security work. So, you know, I changed my life around. I wanted to be a paramedic, apparently because of my past. I started the certification, then I found out because of my past, I couldn't do the general health studies and get certified or get my degree or whatever it is in general health studies because of my past. So I kind of, you know, I wanted to save lives, but no, because supposedly they try to say I took lives, I couldn't save lives. But anyway, it's a career I wanted to do. But I screwed that up. But anyway, I just wanted to correct some stuff and let you know, not all gang members or ex-gang members are bad. You know what I'm saying? You know, we learn. You know, there's some stuff that I may regret from my past. There's a lot I don't. You know, but that's my past. You know, and my past gave me a lot of common sense. You know, this is why, you know, I've mentioned many times that I was never a liberal or a Democrat. Libtard. I was always comfortable. You know, but when COVID happened and I started seeing what was taken away and slowly all this other shit just started popping up, it made me think of my gang life. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? These Democrats remind me a lot of these power-hungry individuals who took advantage of us before I got my position and made decisions that were just outright stupid, you know? You know, believe it or not, one of the rules was you couldn't if you were a man, you can't be with a man. That's the funny part. But, you know, hierarchy, guess what? They were doing a lot of time and they had, you know, boyfriends. Because at the time, they didn't care if they were wannabe women, two genders, in prison that looked like women. But it was okay for them. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. You know, we weren't supposed to be a drug addict, but, you know, when you're in the hierarchy, you can do whatever the hell you want. Sound familiar? And, you know, there's so much I want to say. That documentary, there were actually people that I knew, people that stayed at my house, people that I broke bread with, ate dinner with, my family knew them. Some of them are dead. But in this video, if you watch the whole thing, I knew every single one of these guys. They've all been to my house. I've been in there, we've done stuff together. You know, but looking back at, you know, at all these guys talking, like this guy Jordan that's with the silhouette, no idea who this guy is. And obviously he got an after because some of the stuff he's saying happened during the war or after the war with the Latin Kings, because obviously they did piece it up at some time or whatever. I don't know what's going on up there now because I don't care. In Florida, staying away from all that bullshit. I'm glad I got away when I did. But, you know, it's in my past, part of my past. You know what I'm saying? Being conservative, being an ex-gang member, ex-convict, I wish I could do more, you know, like I did in Massachusetts with the police department, you know, Worcester, Mass. I used to go with the gang task force to talk to kids, you know, and I wish I could do that here because gangs are never going to go away. You know, in the prison system, as I said, it's such a different life. And then when all the drug dealers and gang members went to jail because of whatever they did, obviously that rolled right into the prison and how they ran shit with the drug addicts and drug dealers and whatever else they got involved with. It wasn't, what happened wasn't what was supposed to happen the way it did. But you let piece of shits, dirtbags in, that it would, that's all they know how to do is break the law, shit happens. So one rotten apple will make the whole bunch rotten. And that's what happened. And I was just one of those that got lucky. And I wasn't with all that bullshit. And I almost got effed over for something I didn't do. I almost got life or more in prison. And it was scary. I ain't gonna lie to you. Listen, I ain't no snitch. You know what I'm saying? I was this close because I knew everything that happened when I got arrested. But I was like, you know what? F that. You know, that's one thing I will never live with is saying what happened, even though I wasn't there. I knew what happened. At the same time, they didn't want me to tell the truth anyway. They wanted me to lie about what happened and say it was other people that I know were involved. And I was like, basically, no, I'm all set. Give me whatever time when I took my time. And I did it and finished it. Here I am. 20 years. 24, 5 years, I think it was that I've been out. And as I said, I have regrets, and I don't. And I'm hoping, as I said, if there's anybody watching this, You know, I'm the real deal. I've been through enough shit. You know what I'm saying? And for this guy to be a conservative, it says a lot, you know? And since I said in the beginning, you know, I could talk about this all day, but I won't. So if you have any questions, ask. I'm willing to answer whatever you want as far as my past or whatever it is, you know? But as I said, conservative, I gotta piss off some liberals because this is a common sense and random shit show. Yeah, bah. The Republican Party was founded in a tiny little school. I can't read that because I'm things. Oh my God, in Ripon, Wisconsin in 1854. The purpose, to stop the Democrats from expanding slavery across America. Every American should remember that. Makes you think. Hey, good morning, Democrats. Steal your president. Booyah. Gotta love it. And yeah, the White House. 4 simple truths. Not your president. Not a Maryland man. Not real news. And yeah, not the Gulf of Mexico. Just saying. I don't care if you don't like it. And the genius of our time, Thomas Sowell. Whatever. Next time some academics tell you how important diversity is, ask how many Republicans there are in their sociology department. Just saying. And I saw this video. Amadeo sent me this video yesterday, my boss, my friend. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're human, you feel it. You know, and I'm watching this video, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it almost brought me to tears because I have faith in our president, you know, and I have my reasons as to why I feel the way I do. You know, I believe he's a true patriot. I believe in him. I believe that he loves this country. I don't think he's a dictator or Nazi, because neither am I a Nazi. But Glenn Beck put this video out, and as I said, Amadeo sent it to me, and I was like, wow. And I was showing my wife. Even when I was showing my wife, she was like, oh my God, are you gonna cry? But she was like, I can't even watch this because that's how it is. I don't understand how people are the way they are. But it's crazy. But check this video out. It's pretty cool.
There was no difference in the Donald Trump that you saw in the interview than I saw giving me a tour of the White House yesterday.
Thank you very much.
He gave me a tour of the White House, and we went up to the executive residence, and we do the tour of the Lincoln bedroom, and then he takes us to places that you don't go to, and he was showing us stuff, and he was, at the end of this section, we come down the stairs from the executive residence, and on the table there at the bottom of the stairs were 2 pieces of paper, one for my wife and one for me, that we had to sign. And I said, what is this? And they said, the president doesn't want anything other than the Lincoln bedroom, any of your conversations shared. And I was like, I was devastated, because that was the thing I was most excited to share with the audience, because it shows who he is. It shows he's a remarkable man. And I sat there and I had to sign it. And I sat there and I just wanted to say, why? Why? This is the side of you that people should know about. And I can't say anything about it. So he leads by his heart much more than what you know. He's better than he is, you know, more calm and just more real. He is so normal and so common. I don't know how he became this way. I really don't. He's the guy who's like, it's the greatest gold of all gold. Nobody said gold could be any more golden than this gold. And yet, he's just like you. He's like everything you would hope a really good man that you respected was actually like. I'm just disappointed that I can't tell you, because I think you'd like it. I think you'd like it a lot. You'd like it a lot.
Pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I've met them all. I've met two-faced people. I've met backstabbers. I've met evil men and women, because they were sisters. I've never been one of those. But yeah, you know, I had my ups and downs, trials and tribulations, as they say. Good times and bad times. And right now I'm not having great times. I'm not having bad times. I'm just having times. Hard, but it's whatever. With 2 jobs. And it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. I did want to do something different today. Because I saw this video, I wanted to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? As I said, this is not a political show. This is pretty much just me talk about common sense stuff and random shit. Today was more of a random shit, but at the same time, common sense, because I had common sense to get the out of there. And I did when I did. You know, now I'm doing what I gotta do. So remember, YouTube, ScrewTube. I think I'm going live there now. Not sure. I don't do Facebook anymore because they're with the bullshit. Sometimes ScrewTube is with the bullshit too. Common sense, a random poop show. I don't know why I can't say shit, but it's whatever. And at the same time, follow me on Rumble. The Conservative Ex-Con. Follow. Thanks. And you already know. And at the same time, like, share, love, show me love. This is the guy I watch for common or current events. I like to watch him. He's always on point. I always come out smarter. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to him and just hear some real shit from a real individual. That's all I gotta say. And as I said many times, if you haven't yet, hashtag walk away. Good app. I have the app. A lot of good, interesting videos of people running away, covering my logo. Awesome. From the Democratic Party. And as I said, common sense and random shit show. T-shirt, sublimated into the shirt. Won't fade, won't shrink. Wish they had more colors. Flag backwards because you charge forward. And in the back, don't be a lip turd. You already know. As I always say, don't be a lip turd. Links in the description. Link in the description to the full video of that gang bullshit is there. If you ever want to watch the whole thing and just get to know that. A little bit about my past. I was actually in prison when all this was filmed. I was actually invited to one or two of these recordings. Another one was Dan Rather. And I'm glad I was in there because a lot of these guys are doing federal time or are dead or whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm blessed, I guess. Anyway, as I said, thanks for watching. Love you guys. Sorry to change it up on you today if you're waiting for me to talk bullshit about T-slip turds because it's fun. Oh, I can't forget. Ex-convict. I can't own a gun. I lost my Second Amendment rights. But I show this every day because even though they're expensive, burner, I'm showing you anyway. We can own this. People like me, if you don't want a lethal way to defend yourself, taking someone's life, this is the best thing to get. Check them out.
You asked for compact. You demanded power. Byrna is delivering both. Forged over 4 relentless years of research, testing, and total reinvention. Designed to disappear when holstered and dominate when drawn. It hits like a sledgehammer, but carries like a sidearm. We rethought everything, even the ammo. The Byrna CL is our most concealable launcher ever. Sleek, slim, silent, until it isn't. 6.81 inches long and 2 smartphones thick. It's 38% smaller than the Byrna SD and 44% smaller than the Byrna LE. The CL fires at 400 feet per second, the equivalent of 273 miles per hour, delivering 41.9 joules per square inch. Hand assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the CL is engineered with over 80% of its components sourced from within the USA. Byrna didn't just shrink the platform, we've reimagined the entire less lethal category. This is the Byrna Compact Launcher. We had to think small, so you could hit big.
As I said, non-lethal self-defense. I saw, just look up some videos. I think this is a viable option to defend yourself. If you're in your home, I wouldn't use the pepper spray ones. Just the other ones, they're good enough. Trust me, especially if you have a light or a red dot on it, which, you know, it'll make it more expensive. As I said, Byrna doesn't pay me, but I'm hoping to send me a free one so I can talk about it more. Just saying. And yeah, I was a little more serious today. So if you're waiting for me to be a clown as usual, only a little bit. I say again, love you. Thanks for watching. I hope this show was a little entertaining or informative or whatever it may be. As I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and share and let me know what's going on. And then let me know what you want to talk about, you know what I'm saying? And I gotta say, I watched Last of Us last night. All right? They gotta stop this gay shit. I'm sorry. I respect you guys, whatever sexual preference you want, but they're pushing this shit. My wife was pissed off. She was like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore. You guys are turning off a lot of people. Stop with the bullshit. That's all I'm saying. This woke shit gotta go. Whatever. Anyway, laters. Have a great day. Love you guys. Peace out.
You live here?
Yes.
Well, maybe you know what a zombie is.
When a person dies and is buried, it seems there's certain voodoo priests who have the power to bring him back to life.
Horrible.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
You mean like Democrats?